So going into this Week 2 game against the Minnesota Vikings at Lincoln Financial Field for Week 2, I have a lot of questions about this football team, especially with after that performance that they put on display against New England Patriots. So coming up on today's show, some burning questions and some observations to kind of keep an eye out for going into Thursday night. Speaking of Thursday night, are you ready for it? We're ready for it. We're gearing up for another watch party. Come hang out with us. Our pregame show will span an hour and 15 minutes. Once the game gets underway, we'll do what we always do. Live play-by-play, audience interaction, super chat giveaways, taking down some drinks. We want to make it the best atmosphere outside of being at the actual game. I believe that's what our watch parties are. And we want to make it feel like we're just a bunch of homies hanging out in a living room or at a bar. We put the party into watch party. That's why you subscribe to the show. Thanks to everybody out there for supporting the program. We surpassed 50,000 subscribers during our last watch party. And if you want entertaining, informative, insightful analysis on the Birds with shows coming your way every day, year-round, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. All right, so burning question number one that I have. Are teams starting to figure out Jalen Hurts? And this is also a combination of burning questions and overreactions. I do think that talking point is an overreaction. Hurts struggled against New England, but we knew this was going to be a feisty game. We knew it was going to be close, as evidenced by it being a 4-point line in favor of Philadelphia. We knew it could come down to the wire, and we knew that the Patriots were going to be ready to play. Their offensive game plan was really solid. Their defensive game plan, very, very good. And I think that Patriots defense this year is going to be a very solid unit in a very difficult offensive division, even after Aaron Rodgers got hurt. So Bill Belichick's defense is legit. But let's also factor in this. The Eagles starters did not play at all in the preseason. And I had even said, I disagree with it. You have a new offensive coordinator. You have a new defensive coordinator. A couple of new pieces at important positions. Right guard, running back. You lost a couple of linebackers, both starting safeties. And you need to get into football shape, right? And nothing replicates a game like an actual game. Nick Sirianni is with me now. He said after that Patriots slop fest that he has deep regret about not playing his starters in week one, in the preseason. And I totally agree with that because they were rusty, and that certainly showed. And Jalen Hurts was rusty as well. You can have all the joint practices that you want, and in those joint practices, Hurts performed well against the Cleveland Browns as well as the Indianapolis Colts. But again, the actual game flow, the stoppages, the pace, the physicality, the feel, the flow, it's different, and that's why Jalen Hurts put up this stat line. Speaking of that offense, I think in part they had struggles because Brian Johnson is a first-time play caller, and he's a new offensive coordinator. He's been with this team since 2020. He's done really good work with Jalen Hurts as a quarterback's coach, and we've seen that with Hurts' development, turning him into, at the time, highest-paid quarterback in the history of football before he got beat out by Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow consecutively. But when you have a new play caller, the offensive wrinkles are going to be a little bit different, and he didn't really have a great feel. Running back rotation, I hated it. Rashad Penny inactive, didn't love it. DeAndre Swift 2 touches, no. Dallas Goedert 1 target, that is a problem. So I don't really like how Brian Johnson called the offense. Maybe the rain, though, did impact the game plan to a certain degree. As for Sean Desai, they got leaky in coverage. I thought that Mac Jones attacked the middle of the field because of susceptible play at linebacker as well as safety. But he also put some nice touch on those balls with that throw to Hunter Henry and the throw to Kendrick Bourne. Good routes by both of those players, but good touch to kind of layer those balls in there. But at the end of the day, what did Sean Desai's defensive unit do? Something that Jonathan Gannon's defense didn't always do. For damn sure in the Super Bowl, they held up in a pretty critical spot. And they finished strong, and they won the game. Also, Philadelphia, among the top 8 highest get-off times. They had, 7 players on that list. So Philadelphia, very talented with that defensive personnel, especially up front. Linebacker safety, somewhat of a concern. But I thought that Sean Desai called a fine game. More numbers on this Eagles defense. This points to a schematic difference in what Desai prefers as a Vic Fangio disciple and what Jonathan Gannon did last year. Eagles employed a 5-man front on only 7 of 80 snaps against the Patriots. That marked a significant difference from last year. Could be game-specific, of course. But new defensive coordinator Sean Desai leaned on 4-2 nickel packages. 5-1 penny front was one of Jonathan Gannon's most effective units in 2022. So let's continue to take an eye and look at what that Eagles system defensively and what their schematic differences are going into week 2. Another burning question that I have, where was DeAndre Swift? He led all running backs in yards per touch last year in 2022. 2 touches, and you see what I said down below. WTF. That simply cannot happen. So you need to get him the football because he's an explosive player. And I just think that when you have a player like DeAndre Swift, and then to my next point, a guy like Dallas Goedert, when your quarterback is struggling, what can get him in a rhythm? How can Jalen Hurts find his footing when clearly he did not feel comfortable in throwing the rock because the Eagles' offensive line didn't do him any pressures as Hurts was pressured about 15 times in that game? You just drop back, you throw a little screen pass, and you throw that little swing pass to DeAndre Swift. You get blockers out in front. Eagles' offensive line was struggling, right? So do them favors and let Jason Kelce do what he does best. Get out in space with that athleticism, as well as Cam Jurgens and Lane Johnson and Landon Dickerson and Jordan Mailata. These are athletic offensive linemen. So when you pick up some yards easily with the screen pass like that, that gets the confidence going. That allows your quarterback to find that groove. So you can do that with DeAndre Swift as well as his overall running ability when you hand him off the football. With Dallas Goedert, quick throw down the seam, quick throw down the numbers, quick little bubble screen to allow him to pick up yards after the catch because we know he's a bulldozer in the open field. Maybe you should just make me the offensive coordinator. With that, we tee up our first poll question of today's show. What is your confidence level in the Eagles being legit? I'm talking Super Bowl contender with what they did in week 1. Scale it for me from 1 to 100. More burning questions on the other side, but first, today's Philadelphia Eagles Now is sponsored by AG1. I take AG1 literally every day, and it sets the foundation for the rest of my day. And I love taking AG1 because I know after my workouts, I replace everything that I sweat out, but I'm also able to check off all of the nutritional benefits that I need all throughout the day. It also tastes amazing, and it's great for you. I gave it a try because given my work schedule and workout regimen at Chat Sports, I wanted to sustain energy. I wanted to keep my immune system strong so that I can strive toward my professional work life and personal fitness goals. I'm also very picky about what I put into my body, so I try to steer clear of chemicals and harsh ingredients. That's also why I love AG1 and its 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients. Benefits of daily use: it promotes gut health, it supports your immunity, and it boosts your focus as well as your energy. Sometimes after those watch parties, I need those nutritional benefits to bounce back. I'm also a little bit tired when I come into work next day. Take down some AG1 like sometimes I do at the gym with these photos here, and it gets my energy levels up. My focus is increased, and I love it. So if a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, AG1 giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. That is drinkag1.com/chatsports. Check it out. Link is available for you down in the comments section as well as in the description of this video. We really appreciate AG1 for supporting the program here today. Our coverage would not be possible without them. And the growth of this channel has been pretty incredible because if we weren't able to grow, we wouldn't have some incredible sponsors like this. So I'll put that link in the chat right now. You can see it for yourselves. It's also in the description of this video. So in thinking about this football team, I'm thinking about some more burning questions here. And I love getting into the thought bank here. And I've done a lot of thinking about Jalen Carter over the last couple of days. And really, this goes back to when the Eagles drafted him. I called it at the time. I thought Howie Roseman had his eyes on Carter. If he fell, he was going to move up to take him. That's what he did. Got him at number 9. Also, when I scouted him, with the legal stuff to the side, Jalen Carter on tape is a special human being. He is a unicorn. With how he moves at that size and at that weight, it doesn't come around often. So is Jalen Carter that dude? I think that Carter is that dude. And how can you not be impressed with what he's been doing throughout OTAs, throughout training camp, in the preseason, and then in his regular season debut against New England. He had 1 sack, which came in a really clutch spot when New England was driving on the Eagles side of the field, down by 5, 25-20. Carter also had 7 pressures. That was the most among all defensive tackles in the NFL. He had an absurd 32% pass rush win rate. He was throwing guys to the ground like a baby chihuahua and overpowering these dudes who were also bona fide pros. Like David Andrews is a really good offensive lineman. And for Jalen Carter to disengage and throw him to the ground the way that he does, that is the speed, power, quickness combination that is extremely rare. So I can't wait to see him continue to grow upon what he does best. As for the Eagles linebackers, are they concerned? I think they are a legitimate concern. Nakobe Dean placed on IR. Nicholas Morrow activated to the active roster. Maybe Philadelphia could run more nickel sets to play Terrell Edmunds and Sidney Brown a little bit more. I wouldn't hate that, depending on what Sean Desai wants to do. We knew that on the opening 53-man roster, the Eagles off-ball linebackers were concerned because they only kept 3 on the 53. Nakobe Dean, Zach Cunningham, as well as Christian Ellis. Now that Dean goes on IR, Nicholas Morrow takes his spot. He did have more than 100 tackles last year and 11 tackles for loss, but in coverage, he struggled. And in coverage, these Eagles linebackers did struggle week 1 against New England. You look at the spray chart here for Mac Jones. Where did he throw the football a lot? Well, he had his most successful long balls down the middle of the field, all inside the numbers here pretty much. And then you see a lot of green dots. Those are completions. A lot of white circles around the middle of the field. The linebackers control this section of the field. So I want to see the Eagles linebackers get a little bit better in coverage. Also, what happens at safety? Opposite of Reed Blankenship, I think that's a weakness right now. I saw a lot of you chirping down in the comments section, and you said Justin Evans can't play, Terrell Edmunds is no good, play Sidney Brown. I'm with you. I think that Desai hasn't pulled the trigger on that because Sidney Brown is a rookie, but that hit that he laid on that punt return was awesome. And if he just continues to play well, I don't care if he's a rookie. He played a lot at Illinois for a pro system for what was the number 1 defense in college football in 2022. So if that's what you need to do to improve, and you put Sidney Brown next to Reed Blankenship, I actually like that safety 1-2 punch. Is the offensive line regressing? The Eagles' offensive line was uncharacteristically bad against New England. Early in the year last year, they also did struggle, though. But then they got it together. They do have Jeff Statlin. They have future Hall of Famers, former All-Pros, and Pro Bowlers along this offensive line. I think they're going to get a little bit better. Age is a little bit of a concern with guys like Lane as well as Jason Kelce, but I have trust and faith in this unit that they're going to correct things. Chat stats on the Eagles offensive line. They gave up 15 pressures against the Patriots on Sunday. Their offensive line did not allow more than 14 in any game last year. So while the Eagles offensive line did have some hiccups at the start of last year, they were not as bad as they were week 1 against New England. But again, some of that credit can be given to Bill Belichick for confusing Philadelphia a little bit. But you look at these Pro Football Focus pass blocking grades for the boys up front, nobody outside of Jason Kelce got more than a 70 grade. League average is 70. Kelce is at 70.2. Jordan Mailata, 62.1. Landon Dickerson, 55.7. Cam Jurgens, 56.7. And then Lane Johnson, uncharacteristically struggling at 56.3. This Eagles offensive line has to be better against Minnesota on Thursday Night Football. Feel free to interact with me on social media. You can find me on Twitter as well as Instagram at Chase_Senior. It is the same handle on both social media platforms. Let me know what you think of the show. If you want to chop it up, let's do it. If you want to critique me for how we can get better, of course, let us know in the comments section here on YouTube, but you can also slide in the DMs as well.